Hi guys. Thought I would do my fibromyalgia video on my Fibromyalgia Story. I'm filming this at night, so I've got the lights on, and it's kind of bright, and I know it throws the lighting off. Looks kind of funny, but I figured, oh well, I'm kind of hurting tonight. I needed to do something to occupy my time, so it was just a good night to find something to keep me busy. So anyway, what I'm going to start with is just a real brief explanation of what fibromyalgia is, in case someone out there doesn't know that's watching this and won't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to read it off here because I copied it off the internet. Fibromyalgia, pain is the main symptom. Tender points are found in the soft tissue on the back of the neck, shoulders, chest, lower back, hips, shins, elbows, and knees. The pain then spreads out from these areas. It can be a deep ache or a shooting, burning pain. Often you wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck. It's a phrase that a lot of fibro sufferers use. The pain may get worse with activity, cold or damp weather, anxiety, and stress. Fatigue, depressed mood, and sleep problems are seen in almost all. Many can't go to sleep or stay asleep. Other symptoms may include irritable bowel syndrome, memory and concentration problems, numbness and tingling in the hands and feet, reduced ability to exercise, tension or migraine headaches. To be diagnosed with fibro, you must have at least 3 months of widespread pain and tenderness and at least 11 of 18 tender points mentioned. Okay, that's just a brief kind of give you a touch on that. And I'm going to keep looking down because I've made notes, just a few notes. I'm going to try and make this fairly quick, though. I don't want you to be watching fibromyalgia forever here. I wanted to start off with a little explanation of my childhood growing up. I started having swelling in my ankles when I was about in 3rd or 4th grade. They would just swell up huge, and they never found out what it was or why. I can remember my mom laying me on my brother's bed, had a high footboard on it, and putting my feet up on that footboard to drain the fluid out of my ankles. That went on for a couple of years, and then it went away. I didn't have it anymore. I kind of had a lingering in one ankle, but not all. Then I started having, in my teens, when I was 13, I started having migraine headaches. One a year. For years, I had one a year, always in the spring, never more than that. I also had very painful menstrual cycles. I had very strong anxiety at times, more like panic attacks, and then I'd be fine. And then I'd go a little bit and I'd have a panic attack where I felt like I couldn't catch my breath all the way. So that was kind of my history growing up. And then after I got married, I had several years of not feeling good, but there was nothing you could put your finger on that would say, I've got something here. Something's not right. But I would have weird symptoms, you know, things like visual disturbances that I related to migraine. Now I know those can be related to fibromyalgia also. I had just, you know, times when I just didn't feel good, but I didn't understand why. But they were very short-lived times. Nothing ever extended out over a long period of time. It always was a short period of time for years. And then in the early 1980s, I started having a lot of problems with my neck. My neck and shoulders is where mine started. Well, was where the main symptoms started. I was having symptoms before that, but we didn't know what fibromyalgia was then. Nobody had ever used the term fibromyalgia. They used fibrositis is what they would call it, when you had deep muscle aches and stuff like that, and they couldn't give an explanation for it. They called it fibrositis. And I'm sorry I keep saying, Carolyn brought that to my attention. She didn't tell me she was talking about it in her own video, and I realized I say all the time, so I'm going to try not to do that. There it goes. I started having all that trouble with my neck and stuff, and I was doing a bookkeeping job at the time, and when I went to the doctor about it, he called it bookkeeper's disease. He said a lot of people who do a lot of book work have this problem with their neck and shoulders and stuff like that, and I accepted that. I started going to the chiropractor. That really helped. I went once a week for years. I went to the chiropractor once a week. He would pop my neck, massage my neck, do, I forget what it's called. It's not ultrasound. I forget what it's called. Maybe it's ultrasound on your neck. Anyway, that really helped. After a while, though, things started to worsen. My neck started getting worse. Migraine headaches is what I noticed first, really start getting worse. I used to have them one a year, for years, one a year. Then I started having maybe 3 or 4 a year. Then it would, or for a few months, and then worked up to just, it was all the time I was having migraines. Couldn't figure out why. Thought it was my sleep patterns. Thought it was, I mean, the doctors were looking at everything, trying to figure out what was going on. Nothing really stood out. They tested me for MS at one point. No MS. There's another, go ahead and count them through this whole video because I'm still umming it up. So anyway, I had really heavy menstrual bleeding about in the early 1980s, about 1984 it was. I was really bleeding heavily. I got very anemic, and they ended up having to do a hysterectomy on me. And after I had the hysterectomy surgery, I was so looking forward to starting to feel better that, you know, it was so worth going through all the surgery and everything. But about 3 weeks after I had the surgery, I got sick. I felt like I had the flu. I ached all over. I had the malaise you feel like when you get the flu, you know, how that sick feeling, and had all of that. It lasted for about 2 or 3 days. I was really sick, went away. I thought I had the flu. And started, you know, feeling better. Went on hormone therapy. Things started looking up. About 3 weeks later, again, the flu, and I thought, I can't believe I caught the flu again. And same thing, ached all over. I felt like I had just been beat with a stick. Just felt sicker than heck, and malaise and everything. But the weird thing was, if I would take Tylenol, I would start to feel a little bit better. And I thought, well, even with the flu, you start to feel better if you take some Tylenol. So I got in the habit of, you know, when I start to feel like that, I'd take some Tylenol and on I'd go. Well, that went on for years. I had bad bouts of it, but I never really had the severe pain throughout my body. It was all associated with my neck, my shoulders, my arms. I had a lot of pain in my hands. But my sister, who also had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, had a lot of pain in her hips and her legs and things like that. And I didn't seem to have, she was my doctor. She would diagnose me. She'd be doing tender points on me and stuff. And I was tender up here, but I wasn't tender through my hips and everything at that time. So I didn't think, I thought, oh, she's, you know, diagnosing me because she's got it, she thinks I've got it, and blah, 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 blah. Well, turns out she was right the whole time. Let me see, let me look at my notes here. Sleep problems. Started having really bad sleep problems. Wasn't sleeping through the night, sleep for just a few hours. And then I got so that I was waking up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The waking up in the morning was hell. I couldn't move, couldn't get out of bed, it was awful. Getting ready for work was hell. Every single morning for 20 years, getting ready for work was just hell. But after I would get in the shower, take a nice hot shower, get some Tylenol down, start getting ready for work, about an hour into it, I would start to loosen up and feel better. I didn't feel great, but I felt better. But I did notice that fatigue was really bad, and I didn't have the stamina that I used to have. I used to like to come home from work and do yard work or different things like that. And I noticed over time, especially as I got older, I was just wearing out. I struggled. And finally, I was in a job that I loved the job, but the job became, for a bunch of reasons, became very stressful. And the stress really wore on me, really wore on the fibromyalgia. And I hadn't been diagnosed at the time, but I was convinced I had it. I talked to the doctors about it. They didn't know anything about it. This was back in the early 90s, and even though the name was being bandied about, so many physicians did not believe in it. So you were kind of left on your own to think, I just can't handle stress very well. Or, well, the pain, my mother had arthritis and stuff, I guess, I'm going to be like that, where I have arthritis and things like that. I mean, you just kept trying to come up with reasons why you could feel so crappy so much of the time. And then I'd go, maybe I'd get real lucky and have a couple weeks where I felt great. And then, you'd think, it's over. Whatever it was is gone. And then wham, you'd get hit. About this time, I started having severe fatigue. And I mean fatigue that just drops you to your knees. You don't have a choice. You have to sleep. There's no, I'm tired because I've lack of sleep. It is, you're going to sleep. That's all there is to it. You don't have the strength to move. You don't have the strength to buckle your bra. I mean, it's that bad. It can get that bad. So I had transferred jobs to another school. Felt like the stress would be a little bit easier if I transferred out of the situation I was in. And went to work at a different high school. And while the stress lessened, the stress of the problems that were going on at the one school, that lessened. The stress of feeling bad all the time and stuff didn't lessen. It got worse. And I transferred schools in 1995, and by 1998, I was really feeling it. I was really struggling to stay afloat. And we used to get a month off in the summertime. During that month off, I used to, spend time recuperating and starting to feel better and could go a little bit longer. And then you'd get 2 weeks off at Christmas time. That'd give me 2 weeks to rest and try and build back up to go again until Easter break. And then you'd have a week off at Easter break, and then you'd have a few more months of work and then a month off again. Because it was that job is what kept me going for as long as I did. But in 1998, I was getting to the point where I knew I was going to either have to quit my job, I was going to have to do something. And my husband had almost died in 1992, which is a totally separate story. Almost died in 1992 and had to disability retire at that time. So he wasn't working. He was the house mom and took care of our sons, did everything at home. If it wasn't for him at home, I don't know how I would have survived. He kept the whole house going, kept everything afloat. I was panicked. I thought, what if I have to give up my job? What are we going to do? I was just in a panic. So I talked to my boss. He came over to our house one night, talked to my boss, and he agreed to let me have 1 day a week at home to work. I could work and set up an office at home where I didn't have quite so much coming at me all the time, because high school is a busy job. You have 500 and some, ours was a small school. We had 450 to 500 kids at a time all over the place, and you were taking care of all of them, plus all the teachers and plus all the, your bosses and things like that. And it was a busy school. So he agreed to let me have that 1 day at home. So that was right before my summer vacation. Went on my summer vacation, spent the whole month resting, gearing up to come back to work, knowing I would have 4 days on the job, 1 day at home where I could pace myself and, do my work, but pace it if I wasn't feeling good. I could do it in the evening if I felt better then, whatever. Went back to work the first day and collapsed at work that first day. I walked in the door and I was already feeling exhausted. Walked in the door, there was a pile of work facing me, and I just fell apart. I knew I couldn't do it. That was my last day of work. I barely made it home. Talked to my husband, and my husband told me, it's over. We need to just go to the doctor and get you started on going for your disability and call it a day. You just can't go anymore. And I went to the doctor. I was very frightened about going on disability. My doctor was not hopeful that I would get it for fibromyalgia. It was 6 months of worry. And the day I got my letter that you've been accepted as disabled and you're going on your disability was a hallelujah day in our household. I was able to get my retirement, able to get my disability. It really took the pressure off of us, and that started me on trying to learn to live with this, resting when I had to rest, not overdoing. I had 6 months of pretty much being down, just very depressed, very scared, in very much pain. The pain medications didn't seem to help anymore that they were giving me. They had to put me on stronger medications. I have a boatload of medications I have to take now, but it keeps me functioning. And as long as it does that, I'm willing to accept it. Now, all of this being said, there are things that you can do to help yourself. If you think you have fibromyalgia, first of all, get yourself a good rheumatologist, someone that is knowledgeable about fibromyalgia and its symptoms. The second thing is, remember, you are the patient. You know how you feel. If you don't feel up to exercising, you don't feel up to it. If you don't feel that your doctor is listening to you, do something about it. Don't just assume that they know it all, because if you don't have this, you don't know what it feels like, and you don't know how devastating it can be. It can, for some people that I've talked to, destroy their entire life. They just are so sick that they can't function. For me, things like I have a walker. The times when I have wanted to go someplace and there was just no way I could walk under my own support, use your walker. Don't be embarrassed. If you have to use a cane for a while, use your cane. Function the way you have to function, and don't be embarrassed about it. And don't pit yourself against other people with fibromyalgia. You may meet someone that has fibromyalgia that is able to manage their pain through exercise. They're very strict about their diet. They're doing wonderful. And that is great. But they may be telling you, well, you have to do this, this, and this, and you'll feel better. Well, that may not be true for you. So do what is necessary for you, not what other people do. And, common sense tells you eat good, try and rest, take stress off you. Those are things that you should try and do. Everybody should try and do it, whether you have fibromyalgia or not. But try to take care of you the way you have to. I think that's good advice for any illness that you have. Let me check my notes here and see what else I wanted to tell you guys. Remember that we all do what we can, not what other people should expect of us. The other thing I highly recommend is, if you do get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, don't fall apart completely. Give yourself time to grieve. You're going to grieve the life you thought you would have. I thought I had a good 20 more years of work in me. I didn't. I didn't have one more day as it happened. Grieve the life that you thought you would have, but then don't get stuck in the grief cycle so that you say, my life is over. Try to unless you're one of the unlucky ones who has fibromyalgia to the point of can't function. And there are a lot of those out there. They are in such pain and such agony that functioning is, you know, the least thing on their mind. They just want to get through the day, just try and survive today. And there's a lot of them out there like that. And, you know, I have my fair share of those days, but then they'll end up, you know, having a good couple of days, and then maybe several days of, okay, I got through today. It's not so terrible. I got through today, you know, and then you go through some rough ones. It's like I said, today is one I'm starting to hurt really bad, and there's not a lot of things you can do. Take your pain medication and hope it works. It doesn't always. You just do the best that you can do. You know, I had hopes. I slept really good the last 2 nights, and I thought, well, maybe I'll have some good days from that. But today isn't proving to be one of those. This is a big life change. And as with any disease that you're diagnosed with, it's not fun. It's not a fun field trip to be on. But you can manage it. You can get through it. And for me, one of the biggest things has been support. Now, in my family, there's been 5 of us diagnosed with this. And in fact, they've talked about studying us to find out why 5 members of the family, my mom, my sister, myself, my uncle, and my aunt were all diagnosed with this. And they've talked about trying to do a study on us to find out, you know, why family members like this have all been diagnosed with the same illness, or is there something we're missing here? I think that a huge part of my functioning ability is my husband. He does so much, and he has his own illness to deal with, but he is my rock. He keeps me going. If I don't feel good that day, he bends over backwards. You know, he'll try and, you know, keep me going and keep me functioning, and come on, you need to get out of the house. You've been in the house too many days. And he helps with housework. There's so many things I can no longer do. And I used to be a severe clean freak. I'm not as much anymore. There's just so many things I can't get down and do. Things that really bug me, that have to be done, he takes over and does. He knows that I like to get down and really scrub in the bathroom floors and stuff like that, and I can't get down on my hands and knees anymore. There's just so much I can't do. He gets down and does that for me. We each have jobs around the house that we do. We do our chores, and we kind of have a routine now. We live a very quiet life. It's not the life we thought we'd live. We had planned to travel and do a lot of things. We don't do those things. But we have a good marriage, and we're happy together. And there are ways that you can find to make yourself, you know, content with your life. And that's what I found to be content. So anyway, that's my fibromyalgia story. If there's anybody out there that has it or thinks they have it and wants to talk, message me or let me know down in the comments. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. I'm diabetic as well as have fibromyalgia, so if anybody has diabetes out there or wants to talk about that, let me know. I'd be glad to talk about that too. So anyway, this is my fibromyalgia story, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. I hope in some way that this will help someone out there. And for all of you that are subs to me, I want to thank you so very, very much. I enjoy you so much, and I have enjoyed talking to you, making friends with you, and hope you all have a great evening. I hope the light's okay on this that you can see. Anyway, thanks guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. And Maggie's going to say hi here. Okay, here's Bubba. Say hi, Bub. Bubba and Maggie are helping me film tonight. Hi, Mags. Did you pop out of that blanket? Can you say hi? Come here and say hi. Come here. Can you say hi? Oh, come and say hi. Oh, thank you for saying hi. Bubba, do you want to say hi? Huh? He got woke up out of his sound sleep. He's not sure where he's at yet. Anyway, they just wanted to say a quick hi and good night to you. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.